Welcome to the Indie Author Roadmap, the podcast for new and aspiring indie authors.
We're your hosts, Rachel and Rob, here to help guide you on your writing journey.
Join us each episode as we share tips, insights and practical advice to help you take the next steps towards becoming a successful indie author.
Whether you're working on your first book, navigating self-publishing, or looking to connect with fellow indie authors, this is the place for you.
So grab your notebook, settle in, and let's hit the road to your publishing dreams.
Because right in the end is just the beginning.
Hello and welcome to the Indie Author Roadmap. This is episode 58, and I am the amazing, fantastic, still Christmassy Rachel.
I was going to say, you do realise it's episode 58 and not 55, because you seem to think it's before Christmas.
No, because it's the 5th of January, so you're not supposed to take your decorations down until the 6th.
Oh, really? Just turn your camera a little bit for anyone on YouTube. Go on. For everyone not on YouTube, she's just turned the camera and she's got a big fuck off Christmas tree still twinkling away.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I went into the shop today and saw a load of Easter eggs on display already.
Yeah. I think I'm sure I saw them on Boxing Day in the supermarket. I was like, really?
Oh, hi, by the way, I'm Rob Radcliffe, the reluctant writer. They're definitely not Christmassy writer now, because it's the 5th of January.
Yeah. But it's still the Christmas period until the 6th. Go and look it up. You won't, but...
Look it up where? Where am I looking this up?
You're supposed to take your Christmas stuff down on the 6th day of Christmas. On
Who
the 6th
says?
of January. The 6th of January is like the 12 days of 12 days after Christmas.
So Christmas Day is the first day of Christmas. I could have done with knowing this when I was writing my novella, really.
Yeah. I'm going to Google and see why.
No, you're right, actually, because when I was writing the novella, the 7th day is New Year's Eve, innit?
Yeah.
Yeah, research and shit. Oh, so how's New Year been?
It's been all right. Yeah.
You've got off to the ground running.
Yeah, I need to post my first week on my Substack because it's weird because you think this week is the first week of the new year and it's not actually. Last week is classed as the first week of the new year. Yeah,
I know. I said the other day to Shan, is it Tuesday today? And she's like, it's Friday, Rob. What are you doing?
Yeah. So I'm doing on the Substack the year in an author. So I wrote my update yesterday, which I need to post today, and then that's for last week. But I hit my 20K.
That's one.
Yeah.
Have you been doing what you were saying, just like concentrating on the week instead of the day?
Yeah, and it was quite good because, like, I don't know if you're like me, but you have your energy at the beginning of the week, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you're raring to go, and by Thursday. Yeah. So it meant that, like, by Wednesday, I was probably at about 15,000 words. But then I had a couple of days where I only wrote like 400 words and 800 words, but there was no guilt because I was like, I'm just churning away at this 20. So it felt easier. So it was good. So I still got the same word count that I would get normally on a daily word count, but it meant I wasn't fretting every day.
Oh, nice one.
Yeah.
So I'm drinking beer. Just for people, we're recording this at 8:30 at night. We usually do it in the morning, but because we've got a guest on later from Australia, we decided we weren't going to be dicks about it and have her get up at 1 a.m. So yeah, that's why I'm drinking beer, because it's evening. I haven't just started drinking it whenever.
It is. It's 9 o'clock on a Tuesday morning.
Yeah. And you've got vodka in your mug. I have actually got, because I'm doing all my books have come, so I'm doing a live when we finish doing this. So I've got this cup here so I can pour my beer into it.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh shit, I should do it for our podcast. And then I remembered, no, I'll do what the fuck I want, like a podcast.
Yeah, it's your podcast. No one's gonna like throw restrictions at you.
Yeah, there's no bots going, no, what's he doing now? Yeah. So anyway, yeah, writing wise for me, so far, I've done 2,000 words just because I haven't done any, really. But that's okay. I'm a fifth through my reader magnet. I'm on target for what I want to be doing. And it isn't really writing intensive for me this year. It's more about marketing. So I'm quite happy where I am. I'm excited about the book. It's fun. Yeah, it's good. All's good in 2026 for me so far.
Yeah, good.
I've got my books today, which I'm very happy about. More exciting than Christmas today. Amazon drivers dropping my books off.
They are looking very nice, and the cover's behind you on the wall as well.
Something I've just noticed, and it's really weird. Well, it's just what can happen, really. So I've got Healer, right, book 3, and I've got lovely colour, lovely cover,
Yeah.
both tones.
Right.
You see, that's like pinky.
Yeah, it's a different they
Yeah.
both look blue, they just look different shades of blue.
Weird, because I imagined, and then also, this is my favourite. Which size do you want?
Oh, wow.
It's just
Is this
this one's a little one. This one's a little
one?
midget one because of well, you can see the top there is right at the top.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know what that was. I don't know why. I don't know who's like quality controlling, going, yeah, he won't notice. You know, and
Yeah.
putting that
There's a
some of the
second
other
that
things.
won't notice that one's a bit smaller.
Yeah. So I flagged that one for a fiver tonight, I think.
Yeah, mind you, you could use that one for if you're doing videos and you're talking, you can bend it and
Yeah,
damage it.
yeah.
That's what
Well,
because one of my paperbacks that I've ordered for just to see what the cover's like, I'm just gonna use them to do the flip throughs because 'cause you're not gonna sell them because when you flip through loads of times, they start bending on the
yeah,
edges.
yeah.
So,
Exactly.
just use it for your prop.
Yeah. So how's marketing going so far? I haven't started my ads yet, but
It's
that's
fine, I mean, I turned my ads back on and, like, within a day, they just shot back up to where they were before, Christmas, so they're fine.
nice one.
Yeah, I haven't started on the TikTok because I'm doing Adam's challenge,
You ready for the
he's starting
12th?
on yeah. I was like, "Oh, I could start it straight away," and I'm like, "Nope, I'm gonna be easier on myself this year, and I'm just gonna jump in on his challenge."
Yeah, I've started developing ideas for TikTok so far. I've just posted a few little things, but it's going to be for the videos. I'm going to be pushing my. Oh, I'll tell you something in a sec. And for the videos, I'm going to be pushing this new series. It's going to be coming out for Kickstarter, blah blah blah, and fucking Google Workspace have decided they don't like my email address, so they've just suspended it.
Oh god. No reason.
No, you can't do it. It's going around and around in circles from Wix to Workspace, blah blah blah. And I'm like, and I sent out an email, a newsletter the other day, and I can't get any responses. I can see who's clicking through, but from
Is this your one owned with Wix?
yeah, because my domain's with Wix, so the only
Does
way
it
you can
not,
get
does it not have a webmail version on the Wix site?
no, it goes through this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say just cancel that fucking thingy, and they're going to tell me no, you have to do it by the admin thing, which is the whole problem anyway.
Yeah,
And I said, well, I'm not paying for it anymore, and I'll take all my sites that I'll just spit my dummy out and fuck
yeah.
off, if needs be. But hopefully they will just somehow cancel it, and I'll just get a new email domain, so it's not too bad. I
It's
just need
annoying
to,
though if you've got it in books everywhere.
yeah, it is annoying, fucking really annoying. And I thought,
Yeah,
right, this year's my newsletter thing, and then I've been thinking like, should I just fuck it and move everyone over to Substack and just use that as my mailing list? But then, of course, there's some things you can't do on
no,
Substack that you can with like, the
yeah.
control's not there, is it? So, yeah, it's a bit,
I saw a post today, Craig Martell had shared his Substack, and someone
right,
had asked I don't know if you saw the post, and someone had asked him if he'd, like, abandoned Facebook and other things, now was on Substack, and he was like, "No, this is just an additional tool."
yeah.
So, yeah.
There's, it's annoying because I do need my email because I need sign up lists for this Kickstarter.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think what other way is there to do it, but there isn't. I
No.
need an author email for it. So yeah, fucking annoying. Something else once again breaks for no reason, and you can't get to the man to sort it out. Yeah. But cheers, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
So have you got chestnuts roasting by the fire? And
I've got a Labrador roasting by the fire, if that
oh, let me
counts.
see your Labrador.
The whole room's a mess because I've literally taken Christmas down.
That's fine.
She's asleep. If she gets up, I'll put her on.
Is this the one that's
What?
always barking?
Yeah, hold on, let me see. just a switch table. Alexis. No, we're not. Can you see her?
I can see her back.
Yes, ignore her.
Oh, I
I
thought you had
think
a
she's
black and
deaf.
white dog. Or is that a cock?
Huh?
I thought you had a black
There's a
and white dog.
Yeah, there's a collie and a lab.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So we've got someone on today, haven't we?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know how to pronounce her surname, and you did tell it me, and it's like gone out of my head again. So we're just gonna say
Joe Lukins, and what are we going to be talking about with her?
psychology of writing. So I was looking at the things she sent us over, and there was
Yeah.
a lot of like New Year resolution stuff, why you should make them, or how to stick to them why you shouldn't make them, or why people fail them, or if you do stick to them. So if you do make them, how to stick to them. And then I really liked the last one she said that was like 7 alternatives.
Okay.
It was dead cool.
Right. Well, I think it's about not getting in your own way, isn't it? Really.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's our bit done. Let's
Yeah.
welcome on Joe.
I don't know.
Go on
Joe.
again. Doctor Joe
Oh,
Lukins.
well,
Okay.
yeah.
So hello there, Joe. It is lovely for you to be here, joining us very early there, I believe.
It is early in the morning here in Australia, that's right. But always good to get up early to have a good chat.
Oh, fantastic! So why don't you introduce yourself and let the listeners know who you are?
Thank you. So I am Joe Lukins, go under the name Dr. Joe Lukins on my books. So I'm based, probably you've picked up on the accent, in Australia, although you won't pick up on the accent. I'm actually Cardiff born, so I'm actually from the UK originally. And I think I've said to you once before, Rob, that Rachel's voice reminds me, she's a dead ringer for my aunt who lives in Birmingham but comes from Wordsley. So it feels very familiar to me listening to the podcast. I think I've listened to all the episodes. So I'm based in Australia. So my background is in psychology, high performance psychology. So I originally thought I was joining the police force when I was a young teenager, and a police officer at an academy passed me at one of the meetings and looked at me and he said, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "Oh, I've come to join the police force." And he said, "Oh, well, what degree are you going to do?" And I said, "Oh, do I have to do a degree?" And he said, "I think you do," which was fair play because I was about 16 at the time. I probably looked 12. And I said, "Oh, what should I do?" And he said, "I don't know, just do something to do with people. Good luck." And so off I went and went back to school. And my guidance officer at school said, "Well, why don't you do psychology?" And I said, "Oh, that sounds like people." So I did a psychology degree, and thankfully for the good people of Queensland, which is the state where I live, I fell in love with psychology, and so my rest of my career went from there. But I've worked in the field of psychology for over 30 years now.
Wow. And you've
Nice.
written lots of books, I see.
Yes, so that's been a more recent thing for me. So about 2019, I decided it was time for a bit of a career change for me. I'd done a lot of general psychology work as well as working with high performance athletes, and I just needed a bit of a change. And so an opportunity came along for me to write my first book. So that was 2019. And I've pretty much plodded along each year and put a book out each year. And then I had a bit of a boom year last year and got 5 or 6 books out last year. So um, learning as I go, but each new book is a new learning for me. But yeah, really have enjoyed that journey.
And how self-published, indie published?
Yes, yes, yes. So originally, the first book that I wrote, I actually wrote alongside a book coach. So definitely not vanity, but they basically you paid for a package, and they put you. I say I was put on a conveyor belt, and they just said, right, now do this, now do this, now do this. But they sourced the editor, the layout, all of those sorts of things. So they sort of held your hand as you did it. You retained all your rights, so there wasn't any problems there. And then but teach you the process as you go. So they did the first book for me. They held my hand a little bit less on the second book, and now I do it all myself. So just before I jumped on the podcast, I was in vellum reformatting the very first book. So I'm very glad to be here and not in the bowels of.
Why you reformatted it?
Well, because I didn't have it in vellum, so I'm just about to change the way I'm promoting the book in here in Australia. And so for that, I needed to be able to change some of the back matter, and I couldn't actually get to the back matter without going back to the original formatter. So I'm going through go through the joys of
Yeah.
reformatting a book, but it'll be good once it's done.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool, cool.
Make I've just done all my books, so I know it's a pain.
Yeah, yeah. You listen to some good music while you're doing it.
Yeah, I've been watching Christmas movies while I've been doing it.
So what are your books about?
So my books are essentially the work that I've done through my career since the work with the elite athletes is like lots of people are curious about, what goes inside the head of an elite performer, and the truth is most of the things that happen for anybody really, you don't have to be an elite athlete to think like one, and I think that's probably one of the key messages that I try to get across in the book. So the very first book I wrote was not meant for athletes. It was translating some of the lessons that I've learned from working with athletes over the years for anyone to read. So the book was called The Elite, or the book is called The Elite, and it goes through some of the key things that people can do to set themselves up for success. And what was interesting with that book is it's done very well with a non-athlete population. And I think that's the thing, isn't it? That people, all of our readers, whatever our genre, they read it from wherever they are. So I had this interesting day one day where I was actually contacted by a coach in the UK, and she'd contacted me and said, I've just got 10 of my athletes to read your book. It's really helpful for us. We're going through each chapter as we go through the weeks. And the same day, a friend of mine that runs a coffee shop said, I just finished reading your book, Jo. I really liked it, which was kind of her. And I said, oh, that's good. She said, yeah, I loved it because it has nothing to do with sport. And I went, okay. So, and I think that was one of the really good messages. I thought it might be helpful particularly for beginning authors listening in, that was shared with me when I started, is the notion of when you write the book, imagine that all the possible readers are sitting across a highway, and we're all in our cars driving along the highway. But what you do is you just write the book for one lane. There's one lane of driver that you're writing the book for. And I did that when I wrote my first book. I actually had a specific person in mind. And I guess that's the thing with nonfiction. It's who are you speaking to? And so I to the point that I know someone I know well, it was a former client. So I actually had his photo on my computer, which probably sounds a bit creepy. It's not there now. But I had it. But whenever I got stuck writing, I would look at the photo and go, what would I tell him right now? And then it really helped me to write it. So coming back to the highway analogy, what I find is that even though I wrote for one particular laneway on the highway, cars cross into my lane, people that, and that's why that books has such broad appeal, because I do a lot of work in the Australian Defence Force. And so that's been used quite widely amongst different units and different types of soldiers. So basically humans, we've all got the same needs when it comes to doing well. Like that's why you've got this podcast. You want authors to do well, and you share your lessons of success and your conversations, and you offer, a friendship for people through the author community. And those are some things that we need, and some of those things that help us to perform well are consistent, whether we're soldiers, whether we're athletes, whether we're authors, or whether we're the readers reading the books.
Yeah, the having one person in mind thing. Stephen King calls it the ideal reader in his on writing book, and just to picture that one person that you're writing for, and it sort of it helps you along the way. Yeah.
Yeah. I did a similar thing. Like for each of my books, I almost developed like an avatar for them. So I did that. My second book is called, I wrote it during COVID. It was, you can tell my life phase when I tell you what the book was. It was called In the Grandstands, and it was a parent's survival guide for teenage sport. Because I have two sons, they're now 19 and 23, but obviously weren't during COVID. So, and when I wrote that book, I thought of a particular kind of parent that would be sitting in the grandstands wanting to support their child, wanting to say the right thing but not overstep the mark, and all those sorts of things that parents agonize through in teenage sport. And so I think that's really helpful. You build up the character of who is reading the book, because then it is more specific and it will hit the mark, but other people will read it too. So I think that works well.
So it's the beginning of the year, and I think two episodes ago we did like our goals for 2026, which is sort of like New Year's resolutions ish. But why do New Year's resolutions
Not work, not
off,
stick.
often fail? Yeah.
Isn't
Well,
it the 19th of January is Quitter's Day?
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, you must have read my book, Rachel. I've got it in. I've
No,
got it in there too. Yeah,
I'm also have the background of psychology as well.
yeah. That's. Oh, that's right. You do too.
Yeah,
Yeah. So a lot of this will resonate for you. So, well, that's it. Is that well, look, I think there's nothing wrong with a New Year's resolution other than the timing of it. 8 o'clock on 31st of December with a beer in hand is probably not the best time to be deciding that you're going to be fitter, stronger, taller, and smarter next year. But I think the biggest challenge that people have is that, well, first of all, there's this kind of almost like a pressure that people feel that they need to set resolutions. But where people come unstuck is that it's the planning that's missing around it, which is why I like the episode you did last week, which was around how do you then put this into place? Because that was,
strategy.
yeah,
Yeah,
you did the first week where you talked about what your goals were, and then you did that kind of recap of what the year had been. And I mean, those two things, and that's something for the readers to really, if they haven't, go back and listen to it, because you can't move forward unless you know where you've been. So understanding what the goals were, and how you achieved in those is really important. I have a little phrase that I always use, which is success leaves clues and disappointments offer lessons. And I
yeah,
think that is, for me, one of the most helpful ways for me to navigate through my day, through my year, because all the things that went well for each of us last year didn't just happen because we rocked up each morning and it just came about. It came about because, um, you know, we had clues. There were things that we put in place. Rachel, I know you've got your particular systems that you have when you're doing your writing, and how you organise your day. You sound
yeah.
so organised in the things
Very
that
structured.
very structured, absolutely, and it's that structure that enables you to do that amazing word count that you do each year that we're all amazed by. That must be why you're the amazing Rachel.
Still not gonna
So
hit my million.
so if we understand ourselves, that really sets us up for success, and that's where the New Year's resolutions come unstuck, because then we look forward and we go, well, we're going to do this next year with no plan in place. And particularly if it's a new behavior, either that we're going to start doing something or we're going to stop doing something, then it's different to what we've been doing this year. So we've really got to put a plan in place. Otherwise, it's just going to come unstuck. And what's going to happen is, as we go through the year, we're just going to roll back into our old habits, and we're not going to get the success that we want. So I'm not opposed to New Year's resolutions, but they take an awful lot of planning to get them right.
Yeah, I think you have to have the systems to back them up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think to your point on that, Rachel, is knowing your systems. I often refer to it as the recipe for success. So,
Yeah.
like well, for all three of us, our author journey is like making a cake. When we make a cake, we don't just go to the pantry and pull anything out of the cupboard. We
Yeah.
we we know to go, okay, so we're probably going to need some flour and some eggs and vanilla and butter, and I'm going to need cocoa powder because it's always going to be a chocolate cake in my house. So there's particular ingredients that we need, and then when we take everything to the bench to make the cake, we don't just again plonk it all in a bowl and throw it in the oven. We cream the butter and we add the sugar, and then we might pop in the eggs and all the bits and pieces that we do. So there's a process to it. So for each of us in our writing journey, knowing what our own individual ingredients are that set us up for success, and then knowing what the recipe is, knowing what we need to follow, that insight that we have, and you two are always talking about your systems and your processes. It's really, really helpful, and it's really important, and it's such a fundamental thing for anyone who's trying to achieve in what they're doing.
Yeah. So I think Rob is more go in the pantry and pull everything out.
yeah, but I'll make 10 cakes where you're just you're just still milling the flour, if you like.
When someone's going back over what they've like last you were saying last year that your failures are your lessons. Like when I was doing that in a blog post, and I have Rob telling me I'm being all mopey, but I'm not. I'm being realistic with what I've done. Do you think on the more people should be like positive, not negative, like mopey no is me, but realistic, like I didn't do this because I didn't show up, or the more well, it's just what it is kind of mentality.
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I think that I'm fine with people having a little bit of mopey. I think if I'd woken up this morning and thought, oh, I've had a great idea for some writing, and I just opened up a new Word document, bashed out 2,000 words, and then thought, now I need a cup of tea and go and have a shower and start my day. And I come back and find the cat's walked across the keyboard and the whole lot's gone, and I haven't saved it. Like, so if that's, and that's not an unfamiliar scenario for lots of people, I'm allowed to be a little bit annoyed about that for a little period of time. I'm even allowed to yell at the cat, probably. Not, so
Yeah.
so it's okay to have the emotions that go with, like, because we all want to do well. No one's saying,
Yeah.
I really hope I fail at something today. So when it doesn't go to plan, because it's important to us, we're going to have the emotions that go with it. So that's fine. So let's sit with that. And, if I come back to my writing example with the cat, then I can be annoyed about that. But if I'm still annoyed about it in a week's time, then I really am wasted. I
Yeah.
should be more annoyed about that than annoyed about what the cat did. So I think the way I navigate through every day, one of my systems, part of my recipe for success, if you like, is that at the end of every day, I have a little moment where I go, what went well today? And I think as you would know, Rachel, there's a lot of good evidence that says when we reflect on things that have gone well, that is good for our well-being. That is good
Yeah.
for reducing risk of depression. That is good for us moving forward. So there's a whole range of reasons why it's in our best interest to go, hey, I did something well today, even if it's not necessarily in our DNA or our culture to do it. Like I live in Australia where, tall poppies are knocked down pretty quickly, but you can still congratulate yourself in your own office for things that have done well. You might even keep a little journal or a notebook of it because, on a day when it's not going so well, there's sometimes a good thing to go back and read. But I just in my head go, well, what went well today and how did that come about? Well, maybe I'll write well today because I have had a good night's sleep. So maybe that's something for me to think about. But then also if something doesn't go to plan, if I import I said I was just formatting a document. So if I import my Word document into Vellum and it's just an absolute mess, and I sit there being annoyed with it, well, that's one thing, but maybe there's some lessons to learn about how I could have done that better. So the next time I import a Word document, I'm a bit smarter and it doesn't take me quite so long to do it. So
Yeah.
I think the two things go really well hand in hand. I think when things don't go according to plan, and particularly if it's something big, then that's okay. Be disappointed with that for a little bit of time, but you're really missing the opportunity if you don't stop and go, well, how can I be smarter out of this? What can I learn from this? What can I know moving forward? And I think that's where the real wisdom is, and that's where we get our own progress.
To
Yeah.
celebrate the little wins.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Don't be afraid to face where you mess up.
Yeah, I know, and it's hard, isn't it? It's all those things. It's the trying to bring yourself to read your reviews, which is one of the, and I know that's a challenge, and you've talked about that often, both of you. And I know Rob, you take it on as a sport, and I'm probably more in the Rachel camp on that one. I kind of peer at them through my fingers when I come to one of those reviews. But they offer us one person's opinion, and so
Yeah.
that is what that is. But if consistently people are giving us the same opinion, then maybe there's some wisdom for us to take out of that as well. I just have to read
Yeah.
a few more reviews than I do to get a better picture of that.
They're not actually as bad as you think they are. When I was brave enough to look, they weren't so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, regarding reviews, it is just, if it's not the person it's not your reader. If they didn't like it, it's their problem, not yours.
Yeah, that's right.
Go back, go
And
back
it
to the
might help
five
other
stars.
yeah, and
And,
and it might
and
and it might help other readers decide that they are your reader because of the thing that they didn't like about it. So So if someone wrote on my books, you'd think for a psychology book this would include more references because I don't put a lot of references through my text because the feedback I was getting from my ideal reader is that was sort of slowing them down and they just wanted it at the back of the book. And if someone says, "Oh, this isn't, an appropriately referenced psychology book," then for the readers that want to read something that flows through a little bit better, it's actually good promotion for it.
yeah, definitely. So how do you market your books?
Lots of different ways. Lots of different ways. I use the media a lot. in my promotion. So I'm fortunate where I am. But this is something I was thinking about, how could this apply particularly for fiction authors, because I know you've got a lot of fiction authors. And I must say, I spend all my time sitting in fiction places, because there's one group I belong to for non-fiction authors. There's not as many groups around.
Well,
Yeah,
that's the thing. I mean, with non-fiction authors, though, they'll be very niche and very, so yours is psychology, someone else's might be car maintenance, and you
yeah.
both know non-fiction, but there's no crossover at all, is there?
That's right.
Mind you, going to conferences, I seem to speak to a lot of people writing nonfiction.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I even spoke to someone who's writing books on tennis.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing, that there isn't as much of a community for nonfiction authors. So I love connecting with people, and we don't get as many in Australia anyway, but I've been to one conference in 7 years, and that was last December, because there just hasn't been one for me to go to. So
Yeah.
so when the Indie Author Roadmap come to Australia, I'll be in the front row of the seat for your conference when you run
Any,
that.
any excuse, any excuse.
Actually, James
We're going
Blatch.
on holiday. No, we're not. We're doing a conference, yeah, but we're going on holiday, aren't we?
Yeah, James Blatch is coming to Australia, isn't
He's
he?
coming to Australia. He's going to run something in Brisbane, so that's really good. So, so I thought the media might be something I could chat about, because that might be different for some fiction authors to hear about. But there's definitely opportunities for fiction authors to use them. The difference, I guess, one of the things to think about is, everyone knows an advertisement when they come across it. You see a billboard with, takeaway food on it, and they've paid to be there. We put our ads into Amazon. I don't know how much our readers think about how that ad got in front of them, whether they know that, but they would presumably know when it says sponsored that we've
Yeah.
paid to be there. So that's perfectly acceptable and financially rewarding way for a lot of people to do it. And I do Amazon ads. I've actually just joined up yesterday with Brian Cohen's Amazon ad agency. So they're taking on board all my ads for me, and they're going to be doing all of that for me. But we're doing it with a particular focus, particularly in Australia, because I do a lot of public speaking. So my book really becomes often the mechanism to get me into an audience. So I do work with special forces here in Australia, and that came about because one person in the army read my book, rang me and said, I wanted to chat to you about it. And then the next thing you know, I deliver all the high performance psychology in a particular area in special forces. And I went to one of their conferences, and that's the advantage nonfiction has. I went to one of their conferences. I don't go to many author conferences, but I speak at conferences, and I spoke on a particular topic for an hour, which was amazing, in front of 220 special forces operatives. But then what they did is they gave every one of them one of my books. So to have those 200 people walking out of the room with my book, and then they are decision makers. So that works well. So that got me off track. See, I promised you I'd waffle. So media. So the advertising, we know what advertising is when we see it. Media is, you'll know it's media because it's free. It shouldn't cost you anything. If it doesn't cost you anything, and you're being spoken about publicly, then it's media. And media gives you a credibility. So, even for the two of you being generous enough to have me on the show, like you brought me on, so that would seem to the audience that they've gone, oh, okay, well, they've done something to pick her out, and there's a particular reason why she must be there. So we have a national broadcaster here in Australia, like you do in the UK. You've got the BBC, we've got the ABC.
Yep.
And so in my local area, I go onto the radio every Monday morning for 10 minutes with the morning show presenter, and we talk on different psychology topics. And we don't particularly talk about my books per se, but every introduction, and I pretty much know it off by heart, is that Susan will say, and this morning for Mindwise, we've got Dr. Joe Lukins, author and psychology consultant, here to talk to us today about blah, blah, blah. And probably one interview in 10 will actually mention something about one of my books in there. But what always happens is in our local bookstores is there's always a spike in my books when the books get mentioned. And the way for an author to think about media is if I promoted either of you to, and I think there's reasons to promote both of you to the person who I get interviewed by, and Susan would definitely do an interview, remotely, is I wouldn't say if it was you, Rob, I wouldn't say to Susan, "Hey, I know this bloke in the UK. He's written some books on male rom-com from the male perspective. I think you should get him on the show." Like, she would probably very politely go, "Okay," she'd look at it because she knows me, but she'd go, "Well, there's lots of authors around the world, Joe, so why would I go?"
Yeah.
But if I said to her a week out from Valentine's Day, "Hey, Susan, I know this bloke. He used to do a lot of work in the pub, and he really knows some of the key things to talk about in relation to the male romance, and I think he'd be good to chat to it. And he's written some books." She'd have you on the show in a second.
It's framing it right, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's framing it. It's what is the interesting story about you? Like, even if, for you, Rachel, you could do something around, you know, actually, let me ask. Can I ask you a question, Rachel? Is that all right?
Sure. Yeah.
Flip it. Because you talk about productivity and your structures and all of those sorts of things. So
Yeah.
I'm here as a newbie author. What would be 2 or 3 pieces of advice, and you don't have to give them to me in detail, 2 or 3 pieces of advice that you could give me to help me to be more productive and get myself organized so I could get the words out?
See, luckily, I just give this advice to someone
Yeah.
recently.
So what?
And I always say to people to test, like test the time of day to write, test where to write, and don't be afraid to test things that you think wouldn't work for you, and maybe
You had that
test
in your
right.
blog post the other day, didn't you?
Say again?
You had that in your blog post the other day as well,
Yeah,
didn't
because I spoke to someone, because like someone will, because people will be like, "Oh, I don't have time to write," and it's like, well, to start, if you tell me you don't have time to write, then maybe keep a diary of your days and then see if you do have some time to write, because I bet there's at least an hour of social media scrolling you're doing somewhere in there that you can sacrifice. And
Yeah.
then once you've got that data, then it's test the time.
Yeah. So that rolls off the tongue for you. So then you could go to someone like the radio announcer and say, "I've got this friend in the UK. She's got these 3 great life hacks that people need to know to make themselves more productive and to get more work out. And she's used those some key skills to help her write 800,000 words a year." And so the story in the interview would be about those 3 points that you were talking about, but they would feed into it, because I can tell you that any other human hearing, and we know someone who writes 800,000 words a year is incredible, So
Yeah.
and then she would along the way go, "And what books do you write, Rachel?" And that's where you get to drop it in. So
Yeah.
so I guess I've turned all that into a long story, but I think for
Yeah.
any author, particularly fiction authors, there'll be something about your story, not the stories that you write, but your story about the fact that you work from home and you have young kids in the household and you have aging parents there as well, and you manage that juggle. And then, someone will want to do a story on that, and then you can weave into it that you are an author. So there's lots of really creative ways for fiction authors. Non-fiction, it's probably a bit more obvious, but particularly for fiction authors to get themselves, if that's what they want to do. And what I'd say is radio is a great place to start, because you can literally be sitting there with notes in front of you if that's what you need to kind of help you with your confidence. And the other thing that I always do for radio announcers, and they don't always want it, but I always do it, is I always provide them with 6 or 7 example questions they could ask me, and a brief 2 to 3 sentences of how I'll answer it. And
Yeah.
19 times out of 20, they just read the questions, because radio announcers, the show I go on, she's got to provide 10 hours of content a week. She's on 2 hours, 5 days a week. If I can gift her 10 minutes where she doesn't have to,
Yeah,
put
yeah.
an end to
Yeah.
it. So the easier you can make, and then they'll go, "Gee, she was an easy guest. We'll have her on again." Yeah. So that sort of thing. So media for me is a really great way, because the other thing you then have is then you've got content for social media. So
Yeah.
so I have an assistant, and what he does is he goes online, he grabs the sound bite of the 10 minutes of the interview. And so I've got a Spotify channel, and I think I've got 240 radio interviews sitting there. And it's also helpful then if someone says to me, "Hey, Joe, we're interested in you running can you give a keynote on resilience?" I can go, "Yes, I can do that." And when I'm putting the quote in, I'll pull down some of the Spotify links and go, "And if you want to listen to things that I've said before." So it just further validates what you do. And
Yeah.
I do think that media thing, it's so valuable, and I don't think fiction authors use it as much as they could.
That's what Stephen Aitchison credits his success to, because I don't know if you've ever seen his video where he basically just sat there and went, "It took me 27 years to write this book," and then he talks about his wife reading it in the bath, and she read it in 3 hours, and she was like, she did a Stephen King to him, like, "You've got to go and write this book and publish it," and that video is what actually made him the money.
Yeah.
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 Hook,
Yeah.
story, close, wasn't it? Was it that?
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, journalists want that. They like the media, and they're usually really friendly, and they're great to talk to. And yeah, I mean, if you do TV, you got to comb your hair and maybe get out of your pajamas, but maybe not. but the pajama author, maybe. But yeah, so it's something to think about. And wherever people are listening to this episode from, you have a local radio station nearby. And what's happened for me, it's been good, is our local radio station now goes right across the state of Queensland. So I'm now reaching across a really wide audience. So it all helps.
The difficulty of it, though, is it's not measurable, if you know what I mean. I mean, like when you run ads and stuff like that, you can measure the success. That sort of media, it's quite difficult to. I mean, you might see spike, but you can't get the data, if you like, because it's people listening to it and then thinking, "Oh yeah, I remember that."
Mm.
Yeah,
That's right. Yeah. If you're data driven, you're not going to get that feedback. But if you look at some of those, and I've seen different figures for it, but that notion that, sometimes it can take people 6 or 7 touch points before
so,
they'll
yeah.
buy from you. Well,
It's one of the touch points.
if it's one more, and if you can put it on you can put a link in your newsletter, and you can put it on your Facebook or whatever that might be, your TikTok, or I don't know if you can do that with TikTok.
But it makes you personable as well now, because
Yeah.
that's what people seem to want to now. They want, back in 20 years ago, you just picked a book up and it was by whoever author, but now
Yeah.
people have access and they enjoy that.
That's the thing, isn't it? That credibility factor is very hard to measure, but it's a further piece of evidence for that. So, I don't spend lots of time on the media, but I do it consistently and regularly, which is obviously the message the two of you always have, is if you can, whatever your method is, it's a bit like your TikToks, Rob, you've really got into those. I'm waiting for the day that TikTok shop comes to Australia, because we don't even have it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
So we can't buy from you and we can't sell. So
Yeah,
I found that I just started doing live. So if you're up to date, you know
Mm.
this. And I was chatting to someone that I assumed they were in Britain, but they weren't. They're in the US. And I'm like, well, just check. Just click on the link, and you're like, there's no link. I don't know what you're talking about. So to have it in other places, I think they've got it in America, haven't they?
They do.
TikTok shop.
They do. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you should. I don't see why they shouldn't have it in Australia. It'd be
No,
great.
so the promise was it was coming last year, but
Yeah,
as we know, that's come and gone. So I don't know, but I think it'll do well when it does. But it's like you say, it's challenging, isn't it, when you've got an international reach? And then, so I guess that's something to think about, is saying, and anyone who's not in the UK, don't forget you can see the link in my bio or something, because
yeah.
we don't, because I went and checked. I thought I better check that I'm not making up a lie when I say that today. But I looked at both of your profiles, and you can't see anything there. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rach, it sounds like a whirlwind.
I know, I don't know what it is. I keep tapping and it's like, it goes up and down. I don't know what it's doing.
Can you hear that, Joe?
I can. We've just had 10 days of constant rain here in Townsville, so it just sounds like outside my window. So
Yeah. Just started snowing here the last few days.
I don't know what it is. It's random.
It's -7 in this shed right now. Although I've got my heater by my feet.
Yeah, well, we've had 10 days of rain, and it is not -7. It is stinking hot here. I'm in the aircon. I set the aircon to 19 degrees, so I think it's 29 outside.
I'm by the fire. I've got the fire on, and I'm by the fire. It's
You
cold.
poor thing, having aircon.
Oh, I was just thinking how nice it'd be to be in the snow. There you go. We're never satisfied, are we?
No. So what's next for you on the writing front?
So the next on the writing front for me is I've got a series. This is part of the reason that I pumped out a couple more books last year. So a lot of the athletes I've worked with over the years, respond really well to quotes. They like really short, little succinct quotes. And one of the athletes, it was a footballer that I worked with last year. We were talking about the elite. He'd read the elite and he said, "Oh, do you know what I love about it most, Joe?" And I said, "No." And I thought, tell me, because, again, it's another piece of data. And he said, "I really love the quotes." He said, "I read the quotes and I think about them and I journal them and all the things that elite performers do." And it got me thinking. And then someone else had said something to me about quotes only the next day. So what I've done is I've collated all of the quotes that I've gathered over the last 32 years of work, which is, it's a sizable amount. And I've started putting together a series which is called the Quotivation series. So it's called Quotivation, and I've got 2 of them here, which is useless to the people who are listening. But so I've started doing quote journals for different demographic groups. So the way that it works is there's 1 quote per week, and so 52 quotes in the book. And they've put space around it so people could. And the idea is that you read the quote for the week and you sit on it for the week and you mull it over and you journal your thoughts, and maybe there's going to be an action from it and so forth. If you want a little bit more to inspire you around that, you can go to the back of the book where I've written a very short couple of sentences about the quote and what are 3 reflective questions that I would ask, so you can think about it a little bit further. I put a QR code in the front so that people could, and that's the lead magnet for people to sign up. And so then they can sign up and they'll receive a quote each week. So the same quote will come out each week for the year.
Do you have that automated? The quotes that come out?
Yes.
Or do you send them out weekly, manually?
Yeah, no, that's all automated. Sorry. Yes. Yeah. So I have a virtual assistant who's worked with me for the last 5 years. So he's set all that up for me I use Kit. So he's set that up so that the 50 and now that he's done one and the quote comes out each week, it's easy because he just does a copy paste. And so there's 10 books in the series. So I put quotes for athletes out at the end of last year. I've done quotes for leaders, quotes for business. I've still got to do quotes for investors, and I'm thinking about doing that as a Kickstarter, but I've never done a Kickstarter. So I know you're talking about doing one this year, Rob. So can you talk about that in the podcast when you're doing it, and I'll find out how to do a Kickstarter?
Yeah, I'm doing 2. This first one, I'm not quite sure, but I know the second one's going to be my Divine series. I know that because it's fantasy, and fantasy does well on Kickstarters. But yeah, this one's going to be a bit of the ones that I've done with my Ladlet stuff before now have been quite difficult to fund. They've been right on the last day, me going, "Please give me money," just to get it funded. But I will be talking about it while I do it.
Yeah, and I think so I've got 10 in the series. So I've got quotes for athletes, coaches, referees, business investors, leaders, students, one for the military. So I'm doing them in niche areas because that tends to work better. But the bit that so for the Kickstarter, I think what I'll do is I won't add in sort of bookmarks and bits and pieces because postage from Australia is stupid. So I'm going to do online training. So that's an easy thing for me to record. So everything will be done. But the thing, my stroke of genius last year, the thing I'm congratulating myself most for is I'm going to have a crack at white labeling the books. So what that means is that there is actually a QR code in the front of the book. So for example, with the business leaders and investing, what it means is that a company, and my husband runs an accounting firm. He's got 160 staff or something like that. So he's got a bit large accounting firm. And he said to me, he volunteered it. So now I'm holding him to it. He said, I'd give those books to my clients. So as soon as he said that, what I've got in the front is you can white label it. So what that means is that ABC accounting firm, whoever they are, I will just redesign the cover, and through Ingram Spark, you can set it up as a SKU rather than an ISBN. So it just sits there quietly. No one else can see it. And so what it means is they can have their logo on the front of the cover and everything, but all the inside is the same, but it's sort of bespoke branding. And Brian Cohen is my book coach. And when I was talking to Brian about it, he said, well, that there's a woman in the States who's done this, and I'm going to misquote it. So this isn't exactly what it was, but she wrote a book and it was something like How to Divorce. So she wrote How to Divorce book, and then she put
Great
it out.
hook.
Yeah, but she sold it through legal firms. So legal
Right.
firm put their logo on the front. You know, presumably when you're going through a challenging life moment like that, you're not going to 10 firms, so you don't know that 10 firms have all got the same book, and they give you the book. And she sold
Yeah.
hundreds of thousands of copies. So I'm wondering,
Nice.
I'm curious about that. That's one of my little projects, and then I've got another larger book I'd like to do. But
You
this
not
is
thought about translations?
Yes. Look, so you two have inspired me on translations and took me down a
Yeah.
wormhole. So I am looking at the translations as well. I actually bought a Kickstarter that was all about translations and so forth. So, but the author has delayed it another month. So I think I might just crack on. I haven't gone with the same company that you use. It's a different platform, which now is going to elude me. Um, but yeah,
You
so
go with
I've
The
got that
Globe
bit.
Sky?
yeah, there's Globe Scribe.
No, it's not. I meant to write it down because I knew you'd ask me. Anyway, um, anyway, well, yeah. So I'm looking at that, but I'm trying to do a bit of research as to where my nonfiction books might be best placed to start with. But it seems to
Yeah.
be a good opportunity to do that as well.
Yeah.
So yeah. So and then more formatting.
Yeah.
Or format, yeah.
Blind
Yeah.
If you
formatting
start,
unless you speak the
translating
language.
into Japanese, then it's really weird formatting. I'm
Wow.
just I'm just starting now. It's different, you know?
Yeah.
At least like with German and stuff like, 'cause I've done quite a few, you can sort of like start recognizing words and all the rest of it. Not a chance in Japanese.
No,
It's, it's
not
weird,
at
but
all. Yeah. So translations are definitely something that I'm looking at as well. But it's one of those things, isn't it? That the biggest danger for all of us is there's so many bright and shiny things out there. So it's working out what's going to work. So
yeah.
I'll get a couple of things done first, get this stuff through the ad agency up and running, and get them working on that because I still run my consulting side of things. So I still work with four elite sporting teams. So I'm supporting them, and then I travel around to do the work with the army and consulting as well. So there's quite a bit that's happening. So, but what I try to do is to keep the writing at the sort of the front of mind. Is I walk out of every workshop that I give and go, right, what was a gem there that I said that I haven't written about? And then I try and get a little bit written down. So I'm trying to keep the writing going as well. And then I can use that little piece of information at some point in time in a book somewhere.
No, it's
Do you have your
cool.
books in audio as well?
Hmm. Sorry, what was that, Rachel?
I said, do you have your books in audio?
Only one of them. So it was honestly the worst weekend of my life because I recorded it myself. Um, So I've done the Elite in audio, and it's done. I don't even know if it's covered its costs yet of doing it, but I mean, gosh, that was 5 years ago. So
Yeah.
the world's changed in 5 months, let alone 5 years. I know there's those options. It's interesting. My bias is that I don't listen to audiobooks. So
Right.
so here's the delusional comment of the podcast. I don't think they're a thing, um, because because I don't do them. But you're going to tell me that apparently there are people out there that listen to it, and of
I've
course,
been like that for
I
10
I
years
listen to hours
because
of
I don't
audio.
listen. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about it because I love podcasts. So there's about 3 or 4 podcasts, and yours is one of them that I listen to. Like you actually, I run with you two on a Thursday morning here in Australia, and I listen to you, and then it's really annoying then if I've got to stop and write something down. So that's probably why I had so many listens by the end of the year because a few times I had to go back and listen to things a second time. But yeah, I don't know what it is about audiobooks. I worked in a library when I was a kid, so I'm definitely a touch and feel book in hand. I don't even do Kindles that well because I guess because I spend so much time on the computer, I like to reading for me
But
isn't.
from a marketing perspective, I mean, everyone does it. That's I mean, like, I'm exactly the same. I've never listened. The first audiobook I've listened to
Yeah.
is my own from my narrator. And
Yeah.
I've never done it, but that the market's massive.
Yeah. You are
Yeah.
not your readers.
No, I
Yeah.
know, I know. So
Yeah.
probably just need to find because I wrote a book that was specifically for athletes. It's called Belief, and that would probably do well as an audio book. So I
Well,
probably
exactly. I mean, you've got athletes listening to your book you probably get more access because they pop it on and go for
Yeah.
a run or during training or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and only from a personal perspective, if I listen to a book like yours, I if I'm reading a book like yours, I'll listen to it. Like I listen to David Goggins. That's what your book reminds me of when you're talking about them.
Mm.
And I listen to him reading his book.
Yeah. And it does make sense because when I work with groups of athletes, we often look at people's learning preferences and how they best process information so the coach knows whether to, show Rob a video of it is playing and then whether to take Rachel out onto the field and step her through it. And none of them, well, very few of them go, gee, I'd love to read the game plan. Like
Yeah.
they don't do that. So I am, Rachel, going to steal your little quote then. Joe, your book reminds me of David Goggins. That'd be that'd be that'd
Yeah,
be
like when you
that'd
were
be good marketing.
talking about, because I've read his, when you were talking about your books, and obviously he's like Navy SEAL, and I'm not his target audience, but all these lessons that are in the book, you can apply
Mm.
to everything.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's the thing, isn't it? That humans, we're all essentially the same. We live and breathe the same way. We think the same way. We have the same emotional impacts to different things. It's just that we do it in different spaces.
Yeah.
We all do our different things. But it's I guess it's just What are the little lessons? What's the wisdom I can pick out of different areas, and how can I apply that for myself? I mean, I think that's probably a big part of what I do.
It's awesome. Well, this has been fantastic. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thanks for having.
You're always one of the first to comment on our group. So it is, thank you very much for supporting us as well.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
thank you for doing. Thank you on behalf of all the listeners for putting this together, because I can only imagine how much work goes into it. But
I'll
we
leave it to Rob.
well, I
Uh,
guess for me, like I couldn't tell you where the nearest author is for me to chat to. So you're part of my community. So you come running with me every Thursday. So thanks for joining me.
Are you
Thanks for keeping me running.
are you going to take us running on this Thursday though? Because it's yourself.
Oh no, I won't be
That
doing.
will be weird.
yeah,
Oh, that would be weird. No, I won't be doing that. So
yeah, it's nice. I'm glad to know that I'm doing some running every week
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. If somebody sent me the headers, you could have extra Substack episodes to listen to on your runs.
ah.
Yeah, Rob.
I'm
Yeah.
figuring that's not me, so that must be you, Rob.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I've got it's on the list. It's on the list. Yeah, it's been great, Joe, and good luck with your next books.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and all the best to the two of you for the year ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening
Thank
to
you.
us.
Cheers. Thank you. Bye.
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 So that was Dr. Joe Lukins. That was great. That I wasn't really sure what to expect, but that was great. There's some great tips for authors, definitely in there.
Yeah, I really liked it, and I like the idea of the media, the talking about yourself kind of thing. Like she was selling you, about romance and bar stuff, and then
Yeah, kind of framing it around so you can get in there and then go buy my book.
yeah, but like you're the expert of these topics. That's why you've written it in fiction.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I'm going to be an expert on romance or stuff like that. I ain't Hitch.
No, but you've seen all the what she was on about with you. Like you've seen all the crap in the bars. You've been on Tinder. You've had a relationship breakdown.
Yeah.
You've started a new relationship. You've been through all that crap.
I've lived a life. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is true. I haven't been with the same person since I was 21,
Yeah.
which is adorable, by the way.
You have been with her since you were 21.
No, I'm talking about you. I haven't been with the same person since I was 21, which I find really adorable.
Oh, very nice. I was actually 26.
20, well, same thing, innit? Fucking ages is what I mean.
26. Ages, yeah.
Fucking
Yeah.
ages. This is
22nd.
like me and Shan been together 7 years. This is the longest I've ever been with the same person.
What did she do to like get punished that way? Poor Shan.
Actually, she's. I'm not sure if she's got a sense of humour. She obviously thinks I did fucking something wrong in another life, but I just plough on. I just carry on. He'll retire me one day if he sells his fucking books in his shed. I think that's the reason. She's taken a lot of interest in this TikTok live stuff. So
Oh,
I
yeah,
think,
yeah, because you see the money coming in.
yeah, yeah. Whereas like with ads and stuff, she doesn't see it. You know, it's just,
Yeah.
yeah. Hi. So what are you up to for the rest of the night? 9:30 at
Uh,
night.
I'm gonna go and load the dishwasher and then go to bed.
That's fucking boring.
I might turn on my TikTok and go and watch this guy selling some books.
Yeah. I think, right, I'm onto my third beer now. I think I'm gonna get wankered and fucking go on TikTok and try and not get a violation.
Yeah.
That's
You know
gonna
what's
be
really
interesting.
funny though is when you get really, really drunk, you just go mute. So you can imagine doing a TikTok really drunk, you're just like, hmm. Because
I'm
that's
not
what you're like.
I'm gonna do that. But what I could do, but you say that when I get really drunk, I also just walk off. I might
Yeah.
just I might just
Just leave the
be on,
camera on.
yeah, be on TikTok live and then I just walk off.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking hell.
I wonder if that cabin found the mayonnaise that you left that we've put in your pocket.
Oh, no. I lost loads of things from my pockets that night.
Yeah.
I think I was getting pickpocketed. Other people wanted my mayonnaise. It
Yeah.
wasn't even mine, it was that other guy's at
Yeah.
first.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, enough about mayonnaise.
Yeah.
Latest one so far, this, isn't it?
It
9:30.
is, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Right. Okay. I'm not even going to ask what we're going to do next week. Too late
Don't
for that
know.
shit. And
No.
neither of us know, as usual.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
good luck with your TikTok, and I hope you sell lots and lots of books.
Oh, thanks. Not too many though, because
Yeah,
imagine
'cause
selling out. I've waited 2 weeks. Imagine then selling out, which
yeah,
is
but it'd
great.
also be cool, like, it would also be fantastic to do that.
Yeah, it'd be cool for the screenshot.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway,
So,
we'll
I do
see.
hope you sell all your books.
Cheers. All right. Catch you later.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.